Let's talk about sound effects.
Sound effects.
Do your videos feel boring and unengaging? Do you feel like you could enough with the infomercial? It might just be because you're not using sound effects or not using them well. They are how you go from boring videos to engaging videos. In this video, we're gonna go over where to get them, what to use, adding them to the project, adding effects to the sound effects, and how to layer them to get results that make your videos sound great. Now, this isn't just some sort of engagement hacking video, but if they're doing it in cinema, then there's something we can learn from that, and we can do it here on YouTube because it's a part of the whole experience. Okay, so imagine this scene without sound effects. Don't imagine it, I'll just show it to you. Now this is the same scene with the sound effects. So much better, right? So let's take a simple talking head video, like this one right here. What do we add? Well, if we add some on-screen text, then we could add some typing sounds, some clicks, whooshes, maybe some machinery sounds, and we get a result that sounds like this. It just sounds a lot more interesting than adding text here and not having sound effects. You can just really feel the difference, even if it's just subtle sound effects, very quiet. So I got some shots where I walk outside. For something like this, just add sound effects that make sense. Wind, distant cars, birds. So we go from this straight out of camera sound to this dynamic and layered audio experience. Okay, so what if somebody's playing loud music in the other room? Now, this does not sound right at all. So what do? You can either do it with a parametric equalizer like this. That's because the lower frequency sound waves are what can pass through walls. So you want to mute all the higher pitched frequencies. You can also do it by letting the lower frequencies pass through using a low pass filter. Easy, done. I use a low pass filter on my sound effects all the time just to add a little bit of subtlety to them. Okay, so you can totally get sound effects just from YouTube. That'll probably work. But if you're serious about making YouTube videos long-term and making videos for clients or brands doing sponsorships, then you really have to have some service that provides you unlimited copyright-free sound effects. Freesound.org is a great option. You just search for this track and then you filter it by royalty-free. I personally primarily use Artlist. I'm not sponsored by them at all yet, but they're a great option for really good sounds. I also have some clicks and whooshes and other sound effects in my video editor starter pack that requires no subscription. You can check that out in the link below. You typically want VO dancing around -6 dB. You can check that on the meters if you go up to Window, Audio Meters. You can do this by raising or lowering the level of the clip, but we can go a step further and add the dynamics effect. So add the effect, then click on the edit button and check the compressor and turn up the makeup dial a bit. You can also check the limiter button to make sure that you're not overdriving and distorting your audio. You can leave it at -1, but sometimes I set it to -3. When I use these effects, I usually have a whole timeline of interview sound bites, VO, or talking head. So what I like to do is go up to the Window, Audio Track Mixer, twirl down this window, and then add the effects there. This will apply all the effects to the entire corresponding track of audio. This way I don't have to worry about manually changing the effects on each individual clip. Let's talk about music for a second. When I have music underneath a vocal track, usually I'll set the level of the music to -23 to -30 dB. This is a range and it really just depends on the song and the voice of the person speaking. You want to make sure that when you watch it, you can discern the voice of the person and what they're saying, but also be able to hear the background music. A little trick to help out with this is you can add a parametric equalizer to your song, then just take one of the points and drag it down the middle and widen it out a little bit. This will just help make sure that the song doesn't compete with the voice of the person. When it comes to sound effect volume, I'll usually bring that to somewhere in the -15 to -20 dB range, but it really just depends on if you have a vocal track or how loud your music is, how forward you want that sound effect to be. A lot of this is just sort of, it depends on the scenario kind of thing. I change the bracket keys on my keyboard as shortcuts to change the levels of audio tracks that I have selected. Generally speaking, some common sound effects that I use on most projects are clicks, whooshes, risers, impacts, ambience, atmosphere, and then whatever else makes sense for a particular scene. Use your imagination. Using sound effects is just a part of the edit where you can have fun and try to make the experience as deep and dynamic and multidimensional as possible. Now, this is an absolutely critical step in the video editing process, and if you want to make videos with impact, you cannot skip this. But something else you can't skip is creating clickable thumbnails for your videos. Otherwise, you're not going to get any views. So watch this video here to see how I make thumbnails for my videos. See you there.